Oh, we have our first Bethesda bug. Check this out. The haunted crate. And more importantly, does it do damage? Does it do damage? Oh, whoa, where'd it go?
Fine, everyone's already seen the bug, so I'm here for a different reason. A while ago, I played The Outer Worlds, which is basically the Walmart version of Fallout in space. And the story is that Todd Howard got annoyed that Obsidian Entertainment ran away with the Fallout formula, even though the older generation of Obsidian Entertainment made Fallout New Vegas, which is the best Fallout game. So he decided that Bethesda's next big thing is going to be the official Fallout in space. So I'm going to compare these two, and the first thing to note immediately is that Starfield does not work on Windows 7, which is a problem. So that's 1 point for Outer Worlds, which does work on Windows 7, and I know Valve is going to drop Windows 7 support next year, but that just means that I'm going to go off to Linux 100%. The character randomization in Starfield is way more sane though, so 1 point there. I don't really remember the fine details of the main quest for Outer Worlds, but it was very plot/event driven. It was at least interesting enough to keep going. Well, I tried playing the main quest line in Starfield, and I got bored after a few quests. I think the idea behind the story is really uninspired. It's just, my fancy artifact, now I have to go and catch them all. Which is fine, you can have a space artifact and make it part of the story, but putting the center of gravity of the story on the artifact itself makes the storytelling poor. Don't do that. That's boring. It's an artifact that, so it does some fancy thing. It's like, okay, whatever, bro. It just doesn't lead to anything in and of itself. It's just a piece of rock, and it's up to the writer to do something interesting with that in terms of eventfulness, in terms of characters. If it were character driven, it would be far more interesting, but the characters really just move you around to the next artifact for the first few quests at least. And all of the character development up to that point was generic and inhuman, so I got bored. Yeah, sure, there were some events that kind of developed and introduced relationships between characters and stuff, but they were so dry and superficial and never really delved into anything. And, the typical player isn't going to keep digging into something that is, at a surface level, not especially interesting to them. You have to lure them, entice them into something. So then I traveled the galaxy for a bit, looking for something to do, and found a quest chain that I thought was going to be interesting, which is the Ryujin Industries quest chain, which I guess is kind of like the Arasaka of Starfield, except a little bit more shoddy. Well, so you would think. Corporate espionage? Climbing the ladder of a ruthless but professional corporation with a lot of relationships involved? Let's do it. Except the first few quests just involve talking to people and going back and forth to the quest giver, not really doing very much at all. Not even really picking up very much detail as far as like the relationships between corporations and stuff. Just really superficial stuff like before. Details that ultimately don't seem to lead to anything more interesting. A bigger narrative or anything like that. Okay, so maybe, the first few quests were kind of just dipping your feet into the pool, not anything too heavy. So fourth or fifth quest, the last one I did, was the quest where I traveled the galaxy, basically traveled across the traversable region of the galaxy, just to pickpocket someone, and then go all the way back, and that was the whole quest. So at this point, I was jaded, and I stopped questing completely. And after that, I did some combat, just going to random places and, blowing up bad guys and whatever. The combat gets pretty stupid in a lot of ways. Outer Worlds combat wasn't incredible, but it wasn't silly either. Aside from just the plain bad combat AI, I found an OP sniper rifle, and I was just one two-shotting people basically from there on out. So it was fun for 3 seconds, and then the combat, the gameplay kinda got dry after that. I didn't need anything else, I didn't need any perks, I was one-shotting people, two-shotting people, done. Headshots, easy. I'm an FPS player, easy. What's the score looking like? Ooh. So after that, there's really only one thing to do, which is kind of part of the selling point of this whole game, and that's space exploration. So I just explored the galaxy for a while, and I really did this for at least an hour, maybe 2 hours. There are certainly some planets, some places you can't really get by if you're low level, but I realized that generally, not only could you not land on 30% of planets, maybe more, but the planets that you could land on really fell into two categories, Earth and rock. So when I do space exploration, I totally want to see Earth 2.0 and 3.0 over and over, because it's not like I can go out and see Earth, with the best graphics, because I don't go outside. So, nevertheless, it's really a question. Why the flora and fauna on so many planets is Earth-like? It's a serious creativity issue more than anything. It's not an engine limitation at all. And I get it, a lot of planets are just giant balls of rock. But there are all kinds of planets out there, actually. And really, just because you paint a planet a different color doesn't make it more interesting on the surface.
Next we got Coral Rove! Let's see it purple.
Did you know there's a planet, a real-life planet, where it rains glass sideways? There's a planet that is half ice, half fire. There's all kinds of planets out there. Why can't I land on an ice giant? Why can't I land in a gas giant? Maybe there's some kind of station that has a force field that's floating in there, so you can go in a gas giant, but you don't actually melt through into the core, right? I wanted to see crazy planets, because that you would think that's real space exploration. There is variety in the universe. There are crazy things out there, but there is no true variety in Starfield. There could be a planet that's just a water world. That's a thing. Oh wait, there is a water world in Starfield, except you can't explore the water. In fact, you can't even go underwater in this game at all. Who gives a shit if it's unrealistic for you to be there? That's really not an excuse, actually. Because I could land on a planet that's at temperature, deep freeze, or temperature, inferno. So clearly, realism takes a backseat. I'm just I'm in a spacesuit. What's that gonna do? I would still get destroyed. Anyway, imagine these planets and these places, all of this kind of stuff. That would be amazing to see this kind of variety. But nope, not multi-million-dollar budget Bethesda, not on their radar. So I'm officially giving Bethesda Game Studios the Small Mind Award. It's just jaw-dropping to me that a company with so much experience by this point and resources can lack so much imagination. Holy shit, Todd. It doesn't matter if you can explore 50 planets if all of them look the same.
It is our first new franchise in over 25 years, so if I was going to come, it's for Starfield.
Well,